He's not the biggest fight of my career. I think I had much tougher test in WSB and amateurs, like a very young kid. A lot of pressure on myself in many fights with Zhang, with Dubois, you know. So I think he's just a kid. He's talented, you know. He's quick, but I don't think he's toughest opponent I faced. So.
Not your hardest fight, not his toughest opponent.
I'm happy you think that.
You look very relaxed. You don't seem too bothered.
I mean, you know, every press conference or every face-to-face, this is all the same script. He's just a young kid. He's this, he's that, and none of them send the bell. So it's just the same script. I don't mind.
The face-off between Moses Itauma and Filip Hrgovic was intense, with both men refusing to back down. You could feel the tension as they stood inches apart, locked in a serious stare. However, Joseph Parker believes Moses Itauma is getting sharper and better with every fight, but he sees Filip Hrgovic as a serious test for the young heavyweight. And honestly, I think that's exactly what makes this matchup so interesting. If Moses can deal with Hrgovic's pressure and still look impressive, he could really show that he's ready for the big stage.
Listen, Itauma is very talented, very sharp, only getting better and better with each fight. And this will be a good test for him, because Hrgovic is no slouch, and no one is just going to come easy and try and give it to him, you know? Hrgovic will be throwing punches, chasing him down, and if Moses can deal with that and look impressive, then you know he's ready for the big stage.
Moreover, Johnny Nelson is also backing Moses Itauma, saying he's too sharp, smart, and technically gifted for Filip Hrgovic. But Nelson believes Hrgovic will test Moses and give him valuable lessons. In my opinion, this is the perfect fight to see if Moses is truly ready for the big stage.
I think Moses Itauma, too sharp, too smart, too technically astute for him, and too young. I think Hrgovic will give him a few things to think about to improve him as a fighter, if he's going to be the heir apparent. So it'll be a learning lessons for him, but I think Moses Itauma beats Hrgovic. If he doesn't go to pit distance, stops him very late.
Do you see Moses getting hurt in the fight at all?
I see questions being answered, which he needs to, and every fight he has from this point onwards needs to be that case. If he wants to be a champion and stay a champion. It can't be an easy ride all the way you're going through, because eventually you're going to come up against somebody that gives you something different and makes you think about what kind of fighter you are. If you get hit, you get hurt, you get wobbled, you get put down. You want this to happen now before you become a champion, because at that time there's too much at stake, and then you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is it, it's over, this should happen to me. So I think this is a good learning fight for Moses that he can win.
Furthermore, Gareth A. Davies expects Moses Itauma to control the fight with his boxing and eventually break Hrgovic down. His prediction is a stoppage somewhere between rounds 7 and 9, but if Hrgovic survives, Davies still sees Moses winning on the scorecards.
For me, Moses Itauma outboxes Filip Hrgovic, and he defeats him in the 7th or 8th round by stoppage. 7, 8, 9 rounds for me. I think he'll get to Hrgovic, and I think he'll become the first fighter to stop him. If he doesn't, and he can't get him out of there, there'll be a lot of debate about why he hasn't, but I think he wins on points if he doesn't do that. But I'm going for a stoppage between rounds 7 and 9.
Chris Algieri says the biggest advantage for Filip Hrgovic is his experience in tough fights, something Moses Itauma hasn't faced yet. He believes Moses has the talent, power, and finishing ability, but Hrgovic's size, experience, and toughness will finally test him. And honestly, that's the biggest question for me too. How does Moses respond when someone actually pushes him back? This fight should give us a much clearer idea of how far he can go.
Hrgovic being 33 years old versus Itauma, who's 21, by the time they fight, maybe 22. There's a big difference. And I think the biggest difference is Hrgovic has been asked the questions. And he's given the answers. Not always the right answer, like when he fought Daniel Dubois. But he's been in tough fights. Zhilei Zhang. That was a brutal heavyweight fight, back and forth, stayed tough throughout, showed that his chin could hold up, showed that he had the power, showed that he had the conditioning. He's been there. With Itauma, we don't know any of those answers yet. He hasn't been pushed yet as a pro. He has a very low number of fights as an amateur, very low number of fights in general, amateur and pro. So the question marks are glaring when it comes to Moses Itauma. Yes, the talent is there. Yes, the power is there. The finishing ability is all there. He has all the makeup to be a heavyweight champion and a star at that. But what happens when he gets pushed? What happens when there is push back when there is resistance? And I think Hrgovic is the kind of guy that can answer those questions. He's going to put up resistance. He has power. He's big. He's been there. I don't see him as a guy who's just going to get blown out by Itauma. So there are going to be some questions asked of Itauma in this fight. And really, we need those answered to know where he's going to go and how high he can really fly.
Dillian White, who was stopped by Itauma in the first round, still sees Hrgovic as a dangerous opponent, but gives Moses the edge. He believes Hrgovic is tough and skilled, but he isn't a huge puncher, cuts easily, and can struggle against mobile fighters, and Moses has plenty of movement.
Good fight, dangerous fight for Moses, but good fight for Moses. I think the fight's more beneficial for Moses than it is on Hrgovic, you know. Hrgovic is a good fighter, he's tough, not the most powerful guy, but he gets caught a lot, and if you're mobile, he seems to struggle. Moses is quite mobile. But I think it's a good fight, perfect fight for Moses in this year of his career. And I think it's a winnable fight for Hrgovic. I think Hrgovic stands a very good chance of winning that fight.
Alexander Usyk, on the other hand, isn't too worried about the matchup. He sees Hrgovic as a test for Moses, but believes Itauma has what it takes to become the next heavyweight champion. Usyk especially likes Moses' calm attitude before and after fights, which he feels is a big advantage in heavyweight boxing.
Itauma. Moses Itauma. I think he's a great fighter. The young, 20 years, yeah?
20.
Yeah, 20 years. I think Itauma have big future.
Derek Chisora sees this as a serious step up for Moses Itauma and believes Filip Hrgovic could have a very good night. Chisora also feels Hrgovic's confidence and experience will help him, especially because he believes Hrgovic is comfortable dealing with young southpaw fighters like Moses.
And right now you can tell by his eyes, he's so confident that him and Moses will be a good fight. You know, is he a good fighter? He's an amazing fighter. They call him the animal. There's a reason why they call him that, you know. To answer your question, is that fight going to be a good fight for him, southpaw young fighter? Yes. If I was a betting man, I don't know. I love Moses. I believe that, you know, when you have people pushing you so much, thinking that you can beat anybody in the world, you believe in yourself. And I think this is a big step up for him.
Moses Itauma versus Filip Hrgovic is a huge test for both heavyweights, but for very different reasons. Itauma comes into this fight with youth, speed, sharp combinations, movement, and impressive finishing ability. At just 21, he has already shown the talent of someone who could become a future heavyweight champion. But Hrgovic brings something Itauma hasn't really faced yet: experience against tough opponents, physical strength, durability, and the confidence that comes from being in difficult heavyweight battles. The biggest question is how Moses reacts when his opponent refuses to back down and starts putting real pressure on him. For Itauma, the key will be controlling the distance and using his speed to make Hrgovic miss before firing back with clean combinations. Hrgovic, meanwhile, needs to close the distance, make the fight physical, and force Moses to work every second. If Hrgovic can take away Itauma's movement and drag him into a long, tough fight, his experience could become a major factor. But if Moses stays calm, keeps his accuracy high, and avoids getting trapped in unnecessary exchanges, his speed and technique could gradually take over. That's what makes this matchup so interesting. It's not just about who has more talent, but whether Itauma is truly ready for the kind of resistance that comes with fighting at the top level. So what are your thoughts on this? Share your thoughts in the comments section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video.